So, let's see. Yeah. So I already had all 3 out of 4 tier 2'd and got the uniforms and totally able to test them, quite extensively. Hulk is the only one that I don't have tier 2 yet, but he is maxed pretty much. Let's see. He's just about maxed. 19's left to go. And then he's almost ready to tier 2. But he's built up enough, like, overdrive for his ISOs. And he's got a decent obelisk. Recovery rate, invincibility, immune to snare. So that's not too bad. He's playable. He's definitely playable. So I've been using him too. So all 4. So let's just start with the big guy, Hulk. Let's just start with him. Okay, so Hulk's uniform. Major improvements in several departments. Let's go on in. And over his last uniform, let's compare and contrast real quick. All right, so his first skill, it only modified 3 of his skills, which was shield bash, a little charge, and 193% physical attack. Lunge strike with his sword. That was the one where it's kind of like Hulk smash and it breaks the ground in a stripe in front of him. 110%. Not amazing damage. The 193 is pretty good. 110 is just meh. Raging charge. 108. Just kind of meh. It gives him immune to guard break built in, so that was nice. Excuse me. But so I don't know, just not a whole lot that's like incredible there. So this one, Hulk Bash, another big slam skill that actually does really nice damage, because one thing that the uniform adds is multi-hit to basically all his skills. Lots of multiple hits. So don't be deceived by this 68% damage on that skill. It actually does multiple hits. Giant strike 115, but it does multiple hits. So there's mechanical improvements apart from the actual damage listed in the skill that make the damage better than it seems. Improving his passive Enraged is a big heal buff once he's tier 2, especially. And Gamma Storm, this mechanically is the really fun one. It gives him a whirlwind attack that's very much like Black Dwarf. The big Black Dwarf whirlwind attack that is so awesome. Now Hulk has it, basically. And then Anger Burst. Dude, his 5th skill. Immune to damage for 5 seconds. He needed that so much to give his healing a chance to catch up with any damage he's taken. Because the problem was he wasn't out healing incoming damage before. And so he would still wind up kind of, dying sometimes. And then, he gets this penetrate, super armor, and barrier. So super armor is another name for immune to guard break. I don't know why they don't just make it the same words, but he can penetrate, immune to guard break. How cool is that? And then barrier, of course. So basically, like the barrier, he would do damage to Wasp even when she's inside her bubble, is a good example. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, let's go in and actually see the abilities. And the iframes, man. The iframes. Alright, let's group up the minions here. He has an iframe on his basic attack. Do you see that? Let's just review. An iframe on his basic attack. His auto attack. Like, just... what? If he's far enough away. So approaching the enemy, he has an iframe on his basic attack. That's crazy. All right. So, starting with 1. iframe with a bull rush, right? Multiple hits in a cone. Or not really a cone, but a pretty wide stripe. So he's hitting like all these dudes in these bunches. You see that? And multiple hits. So really awesome. And there's a little iframe built in. Excellent. 2. Oh, it's so good, dude. He does a slam to start, then another bull rush that does multiple hits, and a slam to finish. And there's an iframe in the middle during the rush. For a world boss where the stun at the end is not going to, or the knockback is not going to work on a world boss, heads up that this will be a bit of vulnerability at the start on the windup and the finish before he comes out of that crouch after the slam. So the windup, he's still vulnerable. iframe while he's charging, but then after he does that last slam and he's like recovering, he's vulnerable. So just something to keep in mind for like world boss or ABX, things where even 1 second of vulnerability can really turn the tide of the fight. Now 4, this is the big, fun, flashy Black Dwarf whirlwind attack. You ready for this? It's so cool. So many hits, and then he slams Hulk smash at the end. It's just so cool. And he takes them with him, okay? That's the best part. Can I just submit that that's the best part? He groups the targets and takes them with him. And then slams them. That's just like such a cool mechanic. Look at this. They go with him. Too bad you're coming along for the ride, suckers. It's so cool. Look at that. Just gets all of them. Look at that. Look at that. Every single one of them just got grouped into the corner by that skill. Now he just pushed every single one of them again and slammed them. So, pretty darn cool. Random, you're taking off. All right, have a good one, friend. And then 5th skill, of course. Giant iframe that's just beastly. Well, okay. It's not technically an iframe. Let's put it that way. But the animation does so much to the enemies that it disrupts. It's not going to be an iframe technically, but you do get the 5 seconds of immune to all damage. So it's basically just as good, except for, characters like Cable and Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and stuff that have a chance to ignore immune to all damage. There are some exceptions. But in most cases, the 5 seconds of immune to all damage during this skill is roughly equivalent to being an iframe. And he puts a bleed. So many hits. So many multi-target hits. And 2 different debuffs on them. Absolutely fantastic for multi-target. It's going to be good in Alliance Conquest, I think. And it's going to be good for, in a pinch, if you decide to use him for ABX combat. That would be really nice on all the mobs. Or at least at minimum, regular Alliance battle combat. I mean, that's going to clean up on all the robots. So, mechanically, really good stuff there. And then, of course, you combine that with the 4th. Sweep them around, slam them, and then go right into this. Just so devastating. So, really cool. Like, really good skill set for Hulk. And with all the extra hits instead of, you know, his previous uniform, there were a lot of kind of like just single smash mechanics where he would just kind of go smash and that was it. Where it's just like maybe 2 hits. Where with this, you know, you're getting wham, 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 wham! You know, like so many hits. And then this one, so many hits. And then this one, multiple, 3 hits. Not too shabby, but then 2 multiple hits. 1 multiple hits. So, I don't know. I think all around the average damage output over the course of his entire rotation is really solid. Oh, KLM, you want to try Discord tomorrow? Cool, man. Yeah, just let me know. All right, so there's Hulk. Really good. Really good. If you have Hulk maxed or tier 2'd, definitely a worthy inclusion. Definitely a must buy for actually making him endgame viable. That's going to be really cool in Shadowland too because of the crowd control. Keeping the enemies stunned and controlled. That's going to make him even better in Shadowland. So, good stuff. Alright, on to the next. Let's do Hela. And then I'll do Loki and Thor last. Alright, so Hela. Compare and contrast. Let's go here. Her normal skills, right? No uniform. We'll just do a quick look at these. So, you know, her 3rd skill, she summons her illusions. And her 2nd skill is debuffs on the enemy, right? And... oh. Wow, I'm sorry. Excuse me. And her 4th skill. So she's got debuffs on her 2nd and her 4th, which is really nice. And then the 5th is a nice iframe. So, KLM says, my Hulk is a tank now, like he's godly. That's so cool, dude. Yeah, the Hulk uniform is definitely... if you're using Hulk at all, it's a must-buy. It's such a huge rework that it's a must-buy. So, Hela. Preview skill. Now, with Hela, a lot of this, I will say, depends on... I'm going to say that, like, with Hela, you know, if you're just building up Hela just now and you haven't actually played her into significant, you know, level, you may or may not be incredibly impressed in terms of, like, if you're comparing her to other current meta characters. Overall, if this is your first introduction to Hela with her uniform, you know, you're probably going to feel like, okay, well, she's good, but she's normal for current meta characters, you know, it's not like a holy crap kind of reaction, you know. However, for any of you like me who have been playing Hela for a while now, the uniform is a welcome improvement. It's good. So, it takes her from thoroughly mediocre to current viability in the current, you know, power level of the game. So, old school, her summon. Little iframe while she summons, so that's nice. Her first skill, she just does a little energy blast from her hands, but it's not an iframe. and it roots her to the ground. So that was not good. She takes a lot of damage as a result. Her second skill, the first debuff, is actually, I wish it had been an iframe, you know, because it's super cool. It groups the enemies, puts an AoE effect on the ground, and debuffs all of them. Besides iframing, that's a really cool skill. You know, I mean, look at that. For multi-target, it's awesome. So then, fourth skill, her other debuff. It's a partial iframe. It's like a weird partial iframe where you don't actually get the red iframe marker, but watch the enemies. It's like they keep shooting for a second and then not for a second. It's really strange. It's not actually an iframe, but it behaves like one. You know, so it felt like it was just incomplete work, like they just forgot to finish making this skill. Because she jumps up in the air like an iframe, and she does seem to not take hits for like a split second, like maybe half a second, right at the peak of the jump. But it's not actually an iframe, so it was just like, wait, what? You know? It just seemed like a shame that it wasn't really complete. Fifth skill is an iframe, and it actually does really good damage and snares. So, up in the air, good damage, good damage. It's snares them, throws the sword, which hits everyone that's in the snare in a certain radius. Not very big, but then that laser actually does multiple hits, the energy blast, and can do really good damage. If you get a damage proc on your obelisk, and she crits, like, that can actually really burn down a target. So, she was nice, you know, like a nice character, but she had too many vulnerabilities to really be like high difficulty level content viable. So now, let's look at the uniform. Okay. Equip. And we'll go back to skill preview. All right. So. Apart from looking like a complete badass. Now. Okay. So. 3 is her summons still. Let's group all these fools. Here's her auto attack. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about this. Her auto attack. Ranged. It's ranged. Energy blast. That's actually pretty darn cool for an auto attack, you know? That you don't have to get right up on the enemy. Can give you some survivability. So anyway, that's cool. Now, her summons, third skill, still same. Alright. Iframe that lasts a little bit longer, and the AoE ground slam when she lands is much bigger. They improved increased the radius of the ground pound slam that she does at the end. Okay, so there's some hits right up front where she's fully iframed. You do want to be careful and maybe cancel the very end of this, because as you notice, at the very end, during the ground slam, on her way down, she's not iframed. Okay, so keep in mind, like when she actually lands on the ground, there's a moment where she's recovering from the slam. Okay, little animation. She's not iframed anymore. It ends when she hits the ground, when she touches the ground. And there's this little animation at the end where she's not iframed. So you may want to get her up in the air and then cancel into another iframe like 1 or something. Okay, just a heads up on that. Her first skill, speaking of, is a nice quick iframe, and she jumps back out of the way. Very useful in certain situations to get out of the way of some damage. All right, it's really nice. Great improvement to her first skill. It's a multi-hit frontal attack where she throws a bunch of daggers and it puts a bleed on the targets. A nice 5-second bleed on multiple, all the targets. See those guys? So, big improvement. Iframe jumps back. All right, second skill. Second skill is what I would call utility. Okay? Because it's not like a full iframe. Okay? It's not going to work well on World Boss. But for utility situationally to group all the enemies, look how she groups them together and then applies the debuff and pushes them away. So I feel like in certain situations it could be useful for utility, but it's situational because you would only want to rely on this against targets that it affects. So not World Boss. But pretty much everything else, it does enough knockback that it interrupts their attacks, okay? It does interrupt. Unless they have immune to guard break is the other caution, okay? So, like I said, very situational for utility only. Not part of a normal, like, Shadowland rotation or World Boss rotation. It's just not safe enough. Because as you notice, like, here's a perfect example. I'm going to attack the guys up above and watch the ones down below, okay? They're going to continue shooting me. Right? So, you get it. Fourth skill. This is good stuff. You ready for this? Up in the air, tons of attacks. Groups with the swirl, okay? Up in the air, throws daggers. Oh, wait, okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, up in the air, that swirl attack groups them and does tons of hits. Right? Tons of hits. Look at all the hits. 165 on this group of guys. Granted, there's a bunch of targets, but still. Her 2 doesn't do that many hits, right? Maxes out at like 60-ish. If we were hitting all of them, it's kind of hard to... But, I mean, this is just insane how many hits this does. Jumps up, does interrupt, groups them, tons of hits, throws all the daggers, and lands. So again, this is not technically an iframe though. But against anything other than World Boss, it works pretty darn well. She goes so high up in the air and does so many hits that pretty much everything other than World Boss, it's awesome. It's pretty freaking rad. Alright, that's just an awesome skill. The huge improvement in the damage output. Put it that way, okay? How the short summary of this skill, the damage output is insane. Not a true iframe, but so many hits. Okay? Alright. Next, fifth skill. This is the beauty. Alright? This is the crowning jewel. Full iframe. Snares all of them. Debuff. Snares all of them. Does a ton of hits right off the bat. And then that laser blast at the end, the energy blast, while they're snared and just a captive audience, that energy blast does really good damage, okay? Playing her in real content this week, that energy blast is solid, okay? It will finish off a target. Like in Alliance Conquest, in Shadowland, in Timeline, in... I mean, she's not really the type of character you would be competitive with in Timeline, but in a lot of content, this is a fantastic finishing move. That energy blast does more damage than you would think, than you might guess. So, possible rotation, all right? Possible rotation. 3 to summon. Cancel into 1 really quick. Depending on the target, 4 into 5 immediately, so you're not too vulnerable. Repeat. 3. Cancel into 1. And if you have enough cooldown, just go straight into 5. Repeat. 3. I'm not canceling that quick enough. Hang on. Okay, 5. Wait for the laser. Right into 3. Cancel to 1. And then, you know, you can... If you do need to fill against like a world boss or, say, Scarlet Witch or something, 2 is not the choice, I don't think. I don't... She's on the ground the whole time, and she's tied up in an animation and not iframing. So I would recommend don't fill with 2. I feel like 1 is a better fill because it is an iframe. And then 4 in a pinch, because of the animation, it's relatively safe. You know? It's not bulletproof, but... So that's why I say, like, if you want, maybe approach with 1 into 3 and then 5. The order isn't, like, in my experience so far, whether you approach with 1 or 3 isn't that crucial, but you do want to use 3 at the start, either 1 or 3. You know, like, if you're at a distance, approaching safely with 1 is not a bad idea, because 3 has that little wind up to it. But if you're already, you know, pretty close to your targets, just start with 3, get your summons, cancel into 1, get into 5 quickly, and if you have enough cooldown, rinse and repeat. If you really need to fill, use 4, not 2. And there you go. That's Hela's uniform. Yeah, exactly, KLM. I will. I'll do some world boss kills to demonstrate some of these things to finish off. I like doing the in-depth review, though, so that people hopefully understand. You know, there's way too much in the community. I've said this many times before, but, you know, there's way too much in the community for a lot of games, not just this game, of people just passing wholesale judgment of, like, this character sucks, this character's awesome, period. And it's based almost always purely on meta. Just who's popular right now, or who sort of beats the current power level of the game. But, you know, to really be successful in things like Shadowland in this game, you're going to do well by understanding the actual mechanics of the characters, so that when you know what you're going up against, you know how to counter it, and you know, like, you can make better decisions, real-time decisions in combat. I like to try and provide these in-depth reviews about the mechanics, not just how much damage can they crank out and whatever, although that is super important. I really enjoy doing these reviews because I feel like hopefully it's extremely informative, so that then when you're playing the character, you know which buttons to press when and why. You know, as opposed to just, look how much damage they do. You know, like, that's nice, but, you know. Yeah, exactly, KLM. It is... I try to provide a different perspective for people that don't already have all this memorized, you know? I mean, for me, the characters I use a lot and stuff, it is muscle memory, but, you know, for people who are considering tier 2ing Hela and getting the uniform, this review is for you, especially. And maybe it'll be kind of a nice refresher for people who have been playing her already. And likewise for the other characters. So, moving on. The God of Mischief. Okay. Loki was my first tier 2. As back in the day, this is kind of old school, but he was a lot of people's first tier 2. Back when I started playing. A lot of the guides said to go for him first with Hero's Journey. So I did. And I've never regretted it. He's solid. He's always been helpful. But this uniform, man. Oh, it's just yummy. I don't know any other word for it than it's just, it's good. It's nice. It's nice. All right. I'm not going to go over his previous uniform because I feel like everyone in the world has already played it or seen it. Male anatomy. Yummy. Yeah. The new uniform, it is. It's delicious. So I'm not going to go over the previous one because that information is all over the web. All over the web. So let's just dive into just his new one. And pretty much everyone, if you're not familiar with the old one, it's all over the web. You can look it up. So, the new one. All right. Opening trick. His first skill has the freeze now instead of or no. That was okay. Let me make sure I'm saying the right thing. Speaking of having things memorized. Yeah, okay. So his first skill was the freeze with this uniform, not natively. The uniform added this freeze, right? But it was a straight line attack. That's the only real big difference I want to draw. Actually spend time drawing. Is at least going back and comparing. Okay, so first skill, something that even if you know, okay, his first skill did a freeze, that's not different. Well, here's what is different. It's a cone attack now instead of a straight line. It is really fun to play Milanotomy, I agree. And KLM says, Loki with his new uni can clear stage 4 of Supergiant if build right. Yeah, it's really good. Really, really good. If you have Loki, particularly, especially, if you have him tier 2 in your roster, get this uniform. Get it. There's no reason not to. Okay? After, almost well, not quite a week, since the update, Tuesday, it's Friday. After a good solid 3 days of playing it, if you have Loki and you would like to use him, get this uniform. It's a must buy. Okay, so let's just jump into the skill preview. Okay. Oh no, actually, I want to point out one thing in the description real quick. Sorry. Okay. So here's the difference too, okay? It adds the chill debuff. It's a damage over time effect. But it is a cone attack now, so we'll demonstrate that in a minute. Now, his deception, it's his kind of explosion, like a circular, like spherical energy explosion. It's basically the same thing, but it hits harder. It hits harder and it pushes them a little further out. There's a slight increase in the radius. Trickery. Same as previous, guards 8 hits for 8 seconds. That classic Loki survivability that we all know and love. His passive, increase to energy attack. Okay, here's why this is awesome. That counts for all his skills, including his illusions, including the arcane explosion, and that's why it hits a little harder. They've given him some really nice damage boosts, all right? So instead of a cold damage boost, it's an energy damage. And his fourth attack is so good, man. I'll show you in a second. And then his illusions are fantastic also. So, also worth noting, he starts out at 15% damage increase, which is roughly equivalent to having his uniform be rank 3. It's right in between 2 and 3, So it's like rank 2.5 from the get-go. So that's super nice. And here's the thing, okay? The kind of like cherry on top. It enhances the skill of his trickster. Which the previous one, if I recall correctly, let's double check here, did not. Did not. Yeah, so it only enhanced Scepter Bolt. So that's another difference that's really nice. It enhances Trickster as well. Alright, let's go to skill preview and check this out. So, I'm loving it. And he tosses dagger in the air. Yeah, buddy. Okay. So, let's group these dudes. How cool is this too? On his basic attack, he warps like he shadow steps. Whoop! Really cool. All right. Now, before his Scepter Bolt, again, like everyone knows, it was a straight line attack. It would go penetrate targets, go through and freeze everyone in the line, but it was in a relatively narrow line. Now, instead, check this out. Whoosh. Look at that wide spread. It's a cone attack now. Okay, much more useful. It's much more multi-target effective. Look how I can stun every single one of them. Or freeze. Every single one in that group. That was not possible before. Look at that. Okay, beautiful. And of course, like before, it puts the dot on them. Damage over time. Now, his second skill, the explosion, right? It's a slightly larger radius. Not a whole ton, but slightly larger, so it's nice. Because before, in order to hit them, you had to be kind of right up on them. Like, right up on them for it to really push them and hit them. Now, okay, let's look at this. Okay, these robots are at their max range. Right? I'm in the corner. He iframe rushes toward them and hits them. Okay, if they're out of his range. But watch this. If I get a little closer. Oh, come on, hold still, dude. There we go. Anyway, it just has a really nice the rush iframe animation, and then if he's in the middle of everyone, look how far out it hits. Look at the guys on the left. Okay, they're a decent distance from me. I'm close to this target at the bottom here, so his skill is going to go off without moving. Watch the guys on the left. Hits them. Solid. It really hits them. Okay? The range wasn't quite that big before. So that's actually really useful. If you use that purposely, intently, strategically, that can actually do things for you. So, really cool. Third skill. His guard block, right? Nope. Anyway, really nice. Just does a little dagger throw that flies around and hits multiple targets, like a kind of a heat-seeking thing. The daggers penetrate and kind of fly around for a minute and hit multiple times. So, nice. But, survivability, as usual. Now, 4. Okay. This is the one where it was the wow moment. This one is the wow factor for me when I first saw it. This 4th skill. Remember how it used to just put the one circle on the ground that would hit a couple times? It would hit like 2 or 3 times, and that was it. And then it would disappear. One circle. Check this out. Boom! Huge area effect compared to before. Huge. It's right. It's a huge ice attack. We've all the best ice attacks. Humongous. So it still does multiple hits like before, but giant radius, and additionally, did not do this before, hits them And then as long as they're standing, it keeps hitting them. It leaves an AoE effect on the ground after the initial hits. See that? Really cool. Huge improvement, literally. So good. When I first got the uniform and I took it for a spin, I clicked that button and I was like, oh, what? Amazing. And it keeps interrupting them. You know? Boom, 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 boom. I love it. I freaking love it. NPW, welcome back. Welcome back, buddy. So, I geeked out hard about this. I still am, can you tell? It's so good. Oh. Alright. And then 5. The summons. Ready? Iframe to jump back. Summons show up. And then, check it out. They do these cool, like, dagger attacks that penetrate like the scepter bolts before. But they do this, like, massive amount of mini hits. Are you seeing this? As they pass through the targets, instead of kind of hitting once as they hit each target, like once as they go through, look at all the mini hits. You seeing this? Tons of mini hits. And the way they focus, I feel like it has a better spread than before with the scepter bolts. Like it's hitting all of them consistently. You see this? Really reliably hitting every single one of those dudes for multiple hits each. Okay. Now, the caution, you're going to want to pop 3 or something before, as usual. If you weren't doing this with Loki before, you weren't playing Loki, right? I'm sorry. But that's what you should have been doing before. But just as a reminder, his summons, he gets a tiny iframe hop back, but then he is vulnerable at the end. So you always want to keep 3 up, which everyone should know. But just a reminder, friendly reminder: 3, then 5, so that you don't get blasted on the tail end of that. The other answer too is you can do 5 and maybe freeze them, or vice versa. You could freeze them and then 5, then 3. So the one drawback that I will say, okay, that was sort of like, wait, why didn't they do this? A distinct lack of long iframes. Okay, quick iframe on 5, quick iframe on 3. They're both 1 second iframes. And then the rest of the skills leave him vulnerable. So, as always, keep that third skill up. Full uptime on 3. As usual. So anyway, so that's Loki. Really good though. If you play it right, huge improvement. Yeah, 2 into 4 is not bad. I agree. So, all right. Working our way up to the man, the myth, the legend, the God of Thunder. Dude. No longer a glass cannon? Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Oh, KLM says the only thing he doesn't really like about this is the obelisk you get from Hela, because it basically gets rid of all ABS obelisks besides Combat Hero Day. Well, I don't know. That's kind of cool. You still have a chance to get more of those obelisks. They're super rare. But Brandon says Alliance Conquest in 31 minutes hype. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. I'm going to stick around for a little bit of that. I'm not going to be able to stay for the whole, like 2 hours and stuff, but I will definitely contribute in taking a couple zones. And then I'm going to have to bounce and go work on the studio some more tonight. Hey, yay! All right, dude. This guy. Okay. First of all, I am going to compare and contrast on these. All right? Because it's that awesome. All right. Previous uni. 70% chance to penetrate with barrier and all damage immune on his tier 2 passive. Okay. That was solid before. Decent, good damage. But again, he was a glass cannon, so increases lightning damage by 60%. Okay. Same setup on his tier 2. All right. Now, all the amazing changes. Okay, this one before I get into the other changes. 5% chance when attacking. He puts a 5-second shock effect, damage over time, right? So that one's much better for his damage boost, right? Because before it was a little 5% lightning damage boost, but I don't know, 5% versus a damage over time effect while you're critting and doing things. I don't know. I like that change. From his tier 1 passive, his 4-star passive. Because this little damage over time effect, people, could invincible out of that, or, put up a guard skill out of that. And there's a lot of different ways that people could get around that. Other characters could get around that. The reason I like the change is that with just a flat 5% damage increase, all of his skills hit harder. All of them. So his big damage skills can now crit even bigger and non-crit even bigger. So maybe you wait for someone to come out of their invincibility or their guard and then nail them with the skill. Now the hits that you're landing are hitting harder on all of his skills. So I actually like that change mechanically. It puts more control in the hands of the player. Okay? So when you choose to do your rotation a certain way, or choose the opportune moment to, okay, I'm going to hit 5 now, it hits harder. So I like that. It gives the player more control. So very cool. Now, so Gladiator, a lot of these changes are mechanical in the actual animations and stuff. So you're not going to see it in the description. So we're going to jump in and do that. Now this is dope. Okay. Let's look back at the first one. All right. Third skill used to just be, oh, hey, have some damage. All right. And it wasn't actually incredible damage. It was all right. It was decent, but nothing earth-shattering. Okay. Now the new one. Delicious. Third skill. Does more hits. First of all, we're going to go see that in a second. Additional 224 lightning damage. But then acquires the following effect for 10 seconds. For 10? I don't know. There's missing text there. I want to say 10 seconds for 10 hits. 10 seconds. When attacking. Right? For 10 seconds, it's got to be. Right? Because it's the type of effect that just stays and when attacking, so all your other skills pick up this effect, okay? For 10 seconds. 15% shock damage every 1 second for 5 seconds. So we still get that damage over time effect that used to be his 4-star passive. That's what, again, makes this all around better, this change. It's a great change even by itself if we didn't have the dot still. A flat damage increase is awesome. But we still get it. We still get the dot. And we get it at will whenever we attack on all his skills for 10 seconds. Brilliant. So powerful. You know? Adding a dot to every single one of these skills? Are you kidding me? So every single one refreshes the damage over time effect. That's insane. It's insane. So as long as you keep 3 up, if you have max cooldown reduction, it's going to be an 8-second cooldown with an effect that lasts for 10 seconds. So you should be able to keep full uptime on this buff, which means all your skills are applying this damage over time effect. It's amazing, all right? Just straight up amazing. Wow. All right, 4th skill. There's no text there, but you'll see how awesome it is. 5th skill. They added a stun, a 3-second stun, dude. Check this out, man. Previously, this skill was guard against 8 hits, but for 4 seconds. So only half the amount of time as Loki. The enemies would usually blow through that really quick, or it would just end too fast. Especially with a 6.5-second cooldown at max cooldown reduction. There's no way you could keep full uptime of that guard against hits. And it just wasn't enough. It was not enough. Okay? So, the new one, new 5th skill, double survivability. It's so much better. Like, so much better. Okay? 3-second stun. Halts all damage input. 100% chance for immune to all damage for 5 seconds. Screw this 8-hit guard business. Immune to all damage, period, for 5 seconds. It's longer than before, and it doesn't have the 8-hit limit. All damage, screw it. Take that. Haha, I'm the god of thunder. You know? And they're stunned for 3 seconds. So this is the ultimate comeback skill to recover if you're kind of in a corner or something. You're about to take a ton of hits. Maybe you're out of position and you're about to eat a really big attack from the enemy. Pop this 5 and it's all good. It's all good. No more glass cannon. The cooldown is longer. Okay, it's now at max cooldown reduction. It's an 8-second cooldown instead of 6.5. But for all the benefits you get, I'll take it. You know? I will take it. So, absolutely fantastic. Let's jump in and see the mechanics. Yeah! All right. Welcome, new iframes. Just get ready for this. Basic attack is nothing special, but... Alright, ready for this? First skill. Iframe. Right off the bat, it's an iframe, guys! It's an iframe! Yeah! So, really cool spinning like cleave attack with a nice straight line of damage at the end. Okay? Cool cleave attack type thing. It's not especially wide. I wouldn't call it a cone. But it's a really cool spin attack that definitely is multi-target for sure. And then that nice stripe of damage in front of him at the end. Standard caution. This will be a cancel skill in the rotation. So because the iframe starts immediately, that's really nice. So it's a good skill to either lead off with or fill with. It's a fantastic fill skill. But the very end when he slams, the Netmarble seems to like to do this for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. These iframes don't... They tack on these vulnerable animations at the end of the iframe that you're rooted. And it just has to finish. Unless you cancel it, you know? So you can't really play out the whole skill. At the end when he does that slam, you can see the red X disappears right before the actual lightning comes out. Right, like as it comes out. But before the lightning finishes, and he's finishing that kind of slam animation, he's gonna take a hit. He just is. So you will be canceling one if you use it. Second skill. He does a really cool charge, okay, where he penetrates targets, and then he turns around and comes back through with a giant cleave attack, okay? So this is a really awesome dodge ability, right? Like, and I don't mean dodge as in the dodge statistic. I mean dodging incoming damage, avoiding incoming damage, right? So instant iframe, goes all the way through, comes back. Really cool to just get on the other side of an enemy. Dodges straight through, penetrates, and then a really big cleave at the end is super cool, man. And a huge cleave, 180 degrees. Watch this. Through, 180, both directions, because it's actually both swords do a cross pattern like an X, and it hits everything. Wham! Multiple hits on everything right there. I really like the design of this skill. Penetrate through, come back, cleave attack that's really well designed. Okay. Really utilizes both those swords. It's cool thematically too. Alright. Third skill. So let's just take note though. We have iframe already. Okay? So cool. Third skill. It's basically what his fifth skill used to be. Okay? We get 2 copies of his fifth skill now, basically. Instead of that, like targeted, it used to be kind of more like what happens at the end of his first skill here, where he swings and then does that lightning on the ground. You know, his third skill used to be... I'll show you. I just want to highlight how awesome of an improvement this is. No, that's not it. Uniformed. Come here, Thor. Unworthy Thor. Where are you at, my friend? Be lit up so I can see you. Hey. There he is. Okay. So, his third skill used to be this. He just calls down the lightning, right? And it just kind of hits some things in a little area. His first skill was that slam. So they were very simple, but without any additional mechanics. And not iframes, right? Not an iframe. Not an iframe. Completely vulnerable. So, now, huge changes, you guys. This is such a must-buy. iframe. Now it's the call the lightning type thing with this spinning attack. More damage, more survivability. Third one, not strictly an iframe, but it does a huge area interrupt. So any target that is vulnerable to interrupt, you know, not world bosses, but, you know, ABX, Shadowland, Alliance Conquest, most modes in the game, this is going to be extremely useful. Hits them, drags them, and puts 2 different debuffs on them. You kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Instead of that wimpy little call the lightning that did almost nothing, like only one thing. Cheer! Cheer! Oh! Angel! Iframes deserve a cheer. What's up, Angel? Hello! Welcome. Brandon, you just got Loki's uni. So happy. Right on, man. Right on. So, I just... There's so much improvement, you guys. Huge AoE, tons of hits. Hits everything. Debuffs, 2 different debuffs. And then at the end, don't forget. Okay. Huge, like, he calls lightning right off the bat anyway. Does this big AoE with tons of hits. Places 2 debuffs on them. And then at the end, does a frontal attack lightning blast that penetrates through all the targets. It's not a cone, but it goes through a pretty decent swath of targets, though. It's not technically a cone, but it's a pretty wide hit range, width, you know. It's decent. So there's so much going on in his 3rd skill now. It's like his previous 5th skill, but even better. So, 4th skill. Iframe again. Iframe again, you guys. 4th skill used to be that spin around whirlwind attack that he would take damage like crazy and get killed. He would, you know, remember he would do that spin whirlwind type attack and push people back, but it was not an iframe, so he would like lose half his life. It was super not useful. Now, iframe. Jumps up in the air. Calls lightning, but it hits everything in front of him. Everything. Look at this. Bam, 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 bam. Tons of hits. And it's a big AoE that hits everything. It's awesome, you guys. Alright. Wait. Echavesti Siskola? NPW? Your wife is gonna visit the stream? What is this? Trouble getting the email verified? Dude, that's so cool. That'll be so fun to meet your wife, NPW. I'm excited. I'm excited. So, alright. 5th skill. Last but definitely not least. Alright, if 3 is already what his 5th skill used to be and better, way better, what is his actual 5th skill now? Oh my gosh, what? Check it. Okay. It's like more glory, more godliness. Kidding me right now? Giant whirlwind. They increased the radius from the previous. Okay, look at this. From all the way out here. I want you to see this. They super increased the radius from all the way over here. Hits everything with plenty of room to spare. All right. Oh, hits all of them. Like, are you kidding me? Look at the range. So, I mean, the 5th skill had a nice big range before anyway. So this is like at least that good. I think actually a little better. So he goes up, tons of hits as before, kind of moves them and knocks back. And there's that stun. That 3-second stun. Beautiful. Plus, 5 seconds of I'm invincible, sucker. You cannot hurt me. So, then at the very end, he does a call the lightning on top of that. Right? He calls down some lightning on top of that and hits everyone again. It's just beautiful. So much damage. Now watch. Here's the thing. All right. 3rd skill, let's put up the dot buff. 2. And it refreshes. Okay? The grand icing on the cake. All right? Remember how I was saying, if you have max cooldown, you can keep full uptime on the buff that adds a dot to all of his skills, whatever attack you do. All right, so 3 dots them up. You see the little 2-second one, or no, the 5. See that? Shock, shock, shock. It's a 5-second damage over time debuff, right? So 3, bam. Now, let's wait, let that tick down. Now, Bam! Oh, look, it's refreshed back to 5 seconds again because I used another skill. Unbelievable. Any other skill? Let's do 4. Let's wait. 5, 4, 3, 2. Here's another skill. Oh, look, the debuff's refreshed all the way to 5 seconds. Whichever skill we want to use. So 3, then whatever. Refreshes. 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 See that 5-second debuff? It's so good, you guys. So much more damage. All right. I'm done gushing. I'm done gushing. It's so good. It's so good. So, as you can see, buy it. If you have Thor, if you want Thor, get it. It's so freaking good. And then, you know what you need to do. Give him a lightning damage obelisk. Okay? Look at this. Since he's not a glass cannon anymore, I ditched the invincibility because he has it on his 5th skill, basically. He has the damage immunity. You know, built in, immune to all damage. So I was like, well, 5 seconds, that's better than my obelisk anyway. I only had a 4-second obelisk on him. So I just gave him an all damage obelisk. Lightning damage, crit rate, and a damage proc. And he kills stuff now, guys. He straight wrecks stuff. Blasky, are you still hiding? Is that black and white text? What?
Welcome to the internet, my friend. How can I help you?
Unknown Gokuru? Welcome to the Chill Zone. Thanks for hanging out with us. So anyway, you know what to do with the obelisk. Give him that sweet, sweet lightning damage. And then just turn him loose. He's an absolute beast now. Yeah, welcome, new friend. So beautiful. And then I have Power of Angry Hulk on him. Still very nice for Hulk because the attack speed helps you keep stacking that debuff quickly. Your skills finish quicker. So if you have enough attack speed, you can get in at least 3 skills before the 10-second buff wears off, right? At least 3. You might be able to squeak in 4 skills, right? So attack speed is actually kind of nice where you can get the most out of that 10-second buff that applies a dot to everything, all your skills. So anyway, I still like Power of Angry Hulk on him. If I were to roll Overdrive, I wouldn't complain. But it's still good. If you have Angry Hulk, you're okay using it still on Thor. So there you go, guys. There you go. And that, my friends, is your in-depth, detailed review of all 4 uniforms from play experience. Having played them the last 3 days, all 4 of them, I can definitely recommend all 4. To recap, Thor is an absolute must-buy. Hulk is, I will say, if you have Hulk and you use him. Okay? If you have Hulk and you use him, like he's 6'6", 60, even tier 1, he's maxed out, whether it's tier 1 or tier 2, must buy, if you use him and have him, okay? Not a lot of people actually bothered maxing him out before because it was just kind of whatever. Hela, if you did tier 2 her for movie hype and everything, her uniform is a major improvement. I would say useful, worth having. Must buy, not as much as like the Thor uniform is it an absolute must, but I would rate it as very good and worth having. Okay? Maybe something you can kind of take your time on, but worth having. I would recommend getting it at some point for sure. Loki. Pretty much everyone and their cousin and their cousin's sister's daughter's friend has Loki. So, you know, he was meta for so long. And he still is good. So for everyone who has Loki already, just get the uniform. It's so much better. Just get it. It'd be a total shame and a waste if you don't. It's so much better. So, oh, Blasky, you fixed your name so I can actually read.